What's happening, fandoms?
Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here,
we react to music videos and shows.
Today, we are going back to MONESKIN, sort of. We're going to give a great big thank you to MONESKIN fan Judith, who put in a Buy Me a Coffee request that we check out an hour-long interview with Damiano, the frontman of MONESKIN. And to be honest, we're really excited about this.
Yes.
The more we learn and the deeper we dive, the more we love these guys.
And it's going to be interviewed by Allison Hagendorf.
Yeah. So because this is so long and because we don't typically have videos this long on our channel, we're going to break this up into two different segments. We're going to watch the first half.
We're going to have a part 1 and a part 2.
Yeah, we'll do a part 1, part 2, we'll break those up that way. But we really appreciate you, Judith, for prompting us to check this out. We appreciate you. And this is, I think, episode 39 of Allison Hagendorf interview series.
Wow,
so
that's pretty cool.
Let's go ahead and dive into it.
Here we go.
We're now accepting priority music requests through our Buy Me a Coffee account. You can find the link in the description below.
Send us the music prompt and we'll get to it right away.
Thank you. Cool intro.
Hello, my fellow music lovers. I'm Allison Hagendorf, and welcome to the show. This is where we celebrate the universal love of music and the rock and roll spirit that lives in each of us. Thank you so much for being part of the show. I'd love for you to hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, or follow the show if you're listening. I'm so glad you're here. My guest today is global superstar Damiano David of the Italian band MONESKIN. We talk all about his dedicated journey, starting in high school, practicing 4 hours a day, busking in the streets, to his meteoric rise, selling out arenas around the world.
Wow.
That's
how
so
he
cool.
stays grounded, healthy, and humble, collaborating with icons like Iggy Pop and Dolly Parton, how he navigates haters and the dark side of social media, and the possibility of a solo career. And stay tuned after the interview for my sound advice. New music you need to know. It all starts now.
She has that radio voice. I mean, I bet you she's probably one of the radio voice too in LA or something.
I want to congratulate you because we just got news that the Forum tonight is indeed sold out.
Yeah. Wow.
Which that would be impressive, but you've also sold out Madison Square Garden. You know what I mean? And then I think the most interesting show is the Circo Massimo show that you did.
Yeah, that was great.
Which is an ancient Roman chariot racing arena.
Yeah.
And you guys sold like 70,000 tickets.
Yeah,
wow.
Like this,
I mean, it's just mind-blowing. You know, when you hear this, like, okay, in your hometown of Rome, you sold like the most historic, iconic venue. And then you come to America and you have the Garden, the Forum, like no big deal, sold them both. You know, I mean, how does that make you feel?
Actually, you never get used to it. Like thinking that there's such a huge amount of people willing to pay and travel and give you so much of their time, because like the majority of the fans, they get to the venue like the day before, or 2 days before. When we played the Circus Maximus, there were people like waiting outside since the whole week.
Wow.
So it's something so intense and so special that you never get used to it. And every time we get the news that like we sold out Madison Square Garden or like Mexico City or like all these cities that are so far from where we're from, it's always like very, very surprising. And we're like,
that's so
how
cool.
This is happening. Like,
and a lot of people probably think that you sort of like catapulted into fame, you know, and it was like out of nowhere, you know, you guys are just global superstars, and you are global superstars. But what intrigues me is the story behind it, and how I know you have been working towards this your whole life. The whole band has.
Wow.
And I would love to learn more about you guys.
Yeah.
I've seen all the videos of you busking in the streets. Like, I love that. And
No, you have
even
not
rewinding
seen
to the
that.
beginning, because I know you've been singing pretty much your whole life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
When
fantastic.
did you realize that you could sing, or that this was going to be your thing?
It was my mom and my when I went to elementary school, my best friend mom, she was a singer in a choir, and she always
Okay.
told my mom, you have to get him to study like singing and music, because he has something, he has a talent, he has
Wow.
something. And my mom was always like trying to make me go to like singing lessons or whatever, but I was a very impulsive kid, so it was not easy for me to follow lessons and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I always I always had a deep connection with music. My first thoughts, if I think about my childhood, are always with some music playing. My dad is a huge music fan. He has a huge vinyl collection, so I'm also, my first memories of when I was a kid in my house, it's with like these huge speakers that my dad used to have with music always playing.
What were you listening? What were you playing in your?
You know, almost all true musicians get the love of music from their parents.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
It really is hereditary, and it does not surprise me at all to hear him say that his dad is a huge music fan and that he grew up surrounded by music, because it really makes a huge difference.
I mean, your parents is your kind of like your role model. You listen to their music, and that's how I grew up too. I mean, all the songs that my dad listens to, I really reminisce to that, and such a good influence. It's very influential.
I grew up surrounded by classical music all the time, which is not my focus today, but classical music is beautiful music.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up with pop, R&B, not so much with the classical. It's more of like kind of like the old school,
The crooners.
like the old legend stuff.
Bing Crosby.
Yeah. And
those
the
kind of
platters
guys.
and, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just kind of neat to see, musician that they get, not just the artist influence in them, but by their father or their, it could be their siblings. It could be someone in the family. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Right.
Your house.
My dad's favorite artist at the time was this Italian guy called Daniele Silvestri, which is it's a songwriter. He's very good. So my first music memories are with this artist.
Okay, Italian music.
Yeah. And I knew all the songs when I was like 6. So like it was pretty clear that I had this like musical tendency, but I never realized till I was like 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's when you connected with Thomas and Vic.
Yeah. That was a point. I used to play basketball like every day and blah blah blah, like serious. And that was one day where I was like, this is not for me anymore. I want to do something else. And I started thinking like what really drives me, what I like to do without even thinking. And music was something that was always with me all the time.
That's so cool.
I was like one of those kids wearing headphones in his own house, like always listening to music. So I was like, let's just give it a try. And I looked for someone to do it with, because it's just, I think, more fun when you share it.
Yes.
And I remembered at the time that Vic and Thomas, they were having a band because we went to the same school.
Oh, that's so
I was
cool.
like 14, 15, and they were like 12. And so I reached out to them and I was like, oh, do you still have the band? Like, I want to try to do something. And they had another singer at the time, but she was not that good as like, that's what they say. I never heard. So they were like, okay, you might want to try. And so they fired the former singer, and I started singing with them. And then we started having we changed some formations and stuff like that. Then when we started having like chemistry, and first of all we were starting being friends
Yeah.
because we were enjoying the time spent together. Then we found Ethan on Facebook.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
love that that's how you found him. Like a
it's-
Facebook like
it's,
inquiry.
It's so beautiful because it has this, this little, it could be a fate thing because he was
It
the
is.
only person that answered our
Wow.
our advertising on
Yeah.
Facebook. So it was like it was meant to be.
Wow.
Wow.
We kind of
Only one
romanticize
that
it.
reached
but,
I love
Yes,
how
in the
popular
stars.
they are
yeah,
now.
Yes.
yeah, there's a lot of things that actually makes us think that it was in the stars. Also, we all have the 8 in our birth dates.
Yes.
So it's there's a lot of things that make us think that we're connected somehow.
I love
you know?
that. Though. So you had this chemistry very early on,
Yeah.
and you guys were focused. You practiced. You
We
were
were.
really committed.
We were obsessed.
Okay.
Like, yeah, we were obsessed. We had this rule, like no fever, no off days, like no
Oh.
homework. Like there's nothing that can get you away from coming to the rehearsals. It was like every day, at least 4 hours. Doesn't matter if
Wow.
you're sick. Doesn't matter if you have to like study. Doesn't matter if you have to go out with your friends. Like if we want to do it, we have to do it every day.
That's
It has to be a job.
determination.
You know?
Damn.
And so, of course, we were having so much fun because there were no responsibility, there were no like expectation from anybody. But at the same time, every time we were playing, like we started playing in restaurants and pubs and stuff like that. And it doesn't work like here, that you get like the venue and then the venue takes care of like the people coming.
Right.
There, they also want you to bring people in. And we were like, how?
Right.
We don't have like a fan base. So we started playing and we were always playing like in front of 10 people, 5 people, and people
Yeah.
that were not giving us attention. And we were so pissed of it. We were like, we deserve an audience. We deserve something. So we started like digging more and we started playing at like school parties and
Oh, that's cool.
school occupations. And then we started playing on the streets. And then we started getting like a little bit of an audience in Rome, in like the school circle.
Mhm.
Like we were called every time when something goes wrong in a school in Italy, we have this tendency of like occupy the school, like do a sit-in
Okay. Yes.
in the school. So every sit-in we were playing there. We were like the high school stars.
I love
You know,
that.
yeah, we had this high school musical moment.
That's amazing.
We were like a thing in the high school in Italy.
Wow.
But your
in Rome,
busking
in Rome,
videos
in
were
Rome.
really good. I
We
watched
had to
that.
watch that.
We were
had to watch the
actually that
basking
was
video.
our video maker at the time. Like we were focused. We wanted content and photos and stuff. We
We're
took
gonna
days
have to
off
find
just to
some of
do
those.
like
Mhm.
photo shootings, and we were playing in the streets so we could get like some coins and
Yeah.
collect the money. Then to like, I remember we paid our first mix. It was 300 euros, and we paid it only with coins.
Oh, wow.
In a shoebox. And when we went to the guy and we gave him the
Coins in a
shoebox,
shoebox.
it was like, oh, what do I have to do with this? And we were like, it's 300. We swear to God.
Oh
We swear to
my
God, it's 300. And he started counting it.
Wow.
Yeah, it
That's
was
rock
wild.
and roll. I sort of love
That was very wild. Yeah.
You have come a long way though.
Ooh.
From you're wearing like a black turtleneck in like one of the videos, and like your hair is like a beautiful
Yeah.
bob. It was great.
I looked so much older. I had the beard and the mustache.
Very sophisticated.
Yeah, I don't know why. I had like this Johnny Depp fantasy. I
He
don't
was
know.
total Johnny Depp,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that. Respect that. Respect. I mean, come on,
Trying.
he's the best.
Just trying.
At this point, what was your dream? Like as a band, as a singer, what were you hoping to achieve and accomplish?
We always wanted to be like a thing, you know?
Mhm.
Like we wanted to be
Well, they're a thing now.
actually
Yeah.
in the industry, in the market, like being as every other artist, having our gigs, having our albums. So when we've been called at a point, we did like this event in Rome, which was a little bit bigger of the things we were used to do, and there was an X Factor scout. So the day, like 2 days after this
Yeah.
thing, I get a call from this number that I don't have, and I answer, and she was like, "Hi, I'm this and that. I work for X Factor. We were wondering, like, do you want to do the how do you call it? Like
Audition.
Like audition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to audition for it? Like, well, and I was like, oh, no, thank you. And I hanged up. hanged up.
Because
And
you
then-
didn't believe it was the person, or you thought it was
No,
because
we
cool?
were like, we were
Yeah.
like, oh, this is not cool, you know.
Yeah.
But then I told them, and especially me and Vic, we always been like huge X Factor fans. So we started talking about it, and we were like, okay, maybe we should do it, blah blah blah. And then we started talking with our friends, and they were like, no, don't go there, because there's also these rumors about like the X Factor contracts. It's terrible. They stop you from making music for
Well, the
5
good thing
years.
they
and
didn't
blah,
win
blah, blah, blah.
on the
But
second.
of course, nothing of it. It's true. It's not a great deal.
Right.
It's not a great deal, but it's a deal. It's doable.
It was better than busking in the streets
It
at
was
this point.
way
so,
better than
yeah.
busking in streets, and our final thought was they're gonna give us at least one time on national TV.
Yeah,
So
The
It's a
exposure,
great-
the platform,
it's a
the
win,
opportunity.
it's a win-win
Exactly.
situation, you know. So we just went for it, and we found out there that we were mentally a lot ahead of all the other contestants without knowing, because there's this moment that's called artist propositions, where basically you go to your judge and you propose the songs that you want to do, and everybody had like 4 or 5 songs, 6 songs. We had a 40 songs
Oh
catalog.
my God.
Wow.
We played for 2 hours and a half
That's unbelievable.
in front of the
Wow.
judges, and they were like, basically, great, we have the whole thing. So we were so ahead of all the others, because from the day one we knew all the songs that we were going to do. We already rehearsed
Yeah.
everything, so our mindset was more than worrying about, okay, we got to study the song, we got to rehearsal the song,
They already
and blah
know.
blah blah. We already knew it, so we had time to think like
About
out
the
of the schemes, and
performance.
so
Yeah.
it was all about
Yeah.
like what are we going to do in this performance, and how we're going
Like
to be
perfecting the
Yeah.
performance. Yeah.
how are we going to be like, we always wanted to look like the guest.
Mhm.
Like, we don't want to look like we're in the competition. We want to look
Right.
like we're the international guest.
Yes.
You know,
That's
Right.
so
we had
cool.
this very arrogant.
Well, you'd been
but in the-
prepared.
yeah,
You were
yeah. We
prepared.
were very arrogant, but in the best way possible. You know, we were.
You were
Damn.
confident.
Yeah, there was also like this healthy amount of naive thinking.
Yes.
Like everything is possible. Like a little bit delusional, you know. But at the end, I think
You have to
it's
be.
what
Yeah.
made us
A little bit.
successful. We always aimed for targets way higher
High.
than our possibilities, so that
That's
even
great.
if we land a little bit
Their standards
lower,
high.
it's always good. So
Well, I think because
Wow.
I'm glad they set their self higher, their standards a little bit higher
Yeah.
than the norm. Because if you don't set your standard high, your expectation is a little bit lower.
I wonder how many performances they actually ended up doing as part of X Factor, because we learned that they didn't win, like they didn't finish X Factor as the winner of X Factor.
They did. They
They
placed
came in
second.
second.
But you know what? The people that finished second, third, fourth, fifth, those are the one that's the shining.
Yeah,
You know, they
that's true.
shine
But
more.
I wonder how many performances they actually went through as part of that process.
I'm sure he's going to explain it.
Well, I'm not so sure that he will, but
Probably partial of it.
yeah.
You never know.
I'm betting it was more than just the one they were hoping for.
Yeah.
Though you have to, there's multiple rounds, and I wonder if any of those are available to see.
Yeah.
That seems like it would be a very cool thing to check
Right.
out.
Here we go.
you had put the work in and
Yeah.
you were good, that you created your own luck. It was your preparation meeting that opportunity that made you, that brought you that fortune.
Yeah.
But you'd been working at it this whole time.
yeah.
So it's like you got the opportunity, we're good to go.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that like the mindset that we had when we were like kids prepared us to be ready to take the chances that we were getting. And I think even with doing this, of course, I think we missed some chances that we had. But that I think makes us think of how important it is to be like mentally ready for this industry and for everything that comes about with it.
They were
It's
friends
true.
since they were like
kids.
10, 12,
Yeah.
14 years old.
That's so cool.
That's pretty crazy.
And then after the Eurovision, I was the head of Rock at Spotify at the time, and "I Want to Be Your Slave" was the song, and I that was my introduction to you, really. And I love this song. I put the song on every Spotify playlist. And like from there, it just felt like this phenomenon. I had heard about the competition. Of course, I didn't know your whole history, but that song just really spoke for itself. And how and how it was reacting was also very, yes, I loved it, but like every playlist that I was like doing well. And then Iggy Pop comes on. I mean, almost like all of a sudden it just had like a whole life of its own.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Iggy Pop being part of the song and singing your song.
That was wild. Like we were in the studio. I don't remember. We were just, I think, trying to write a song or whatever. We were chilled. And like out of the blue, our manager comes in and he's like, "Oh, we just got a mail. Iggy Pop wants to jump in I Want to Be Your Slave." It was like this 20 seconons of realization where everybody was
Are
silent.
you serious?
What the fuck is going on? Like, how we got here, And we're like, of course, like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So we pushed so much that like 2 days after we were having this Zoom call with him. And it was so iconic. And also like I was so flattered. I didn't know what to say because he was like, "The song is great. I don't want to change the lyrics. I want to sing what you wrote." And I was like, "For real? Like, oh my God." And he was like, and also like, "What you want me to do? How you want me to sing it?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Iggy Pop is asking you for direction.
I was like, "Man, you're Iggy Pop. You can do whatever you want to do. Like,
Exactly.
It's not up to me anymore."
Yeah.
And so we thought like,
He's
okay,
an
now we're gonna
icon.
have this Zoom call, and in a couple of days we're gonna have the track back. But actually, we were having the Zoom call, and he goes like, "Okay, do you want me to sing it now?" And we're like, well, "Of course." Okay, let me get in the booth. He stands up, he takes off his shirt, he gets in the booth, he does 5 takes, and he was like, "Are you good, guys?" And we were like, "Yeah, of course we're good." And we had the song like half an hour.
That's how it went down.
Yeah.
I love that he had to take his shirt off for
Yeah,
it. That, of course.
It's like, yeah.
And he's shredded.
Get
and
in
he's-
the mood. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the best story.
That's so cool.
And you've
So
had
fun.
moments like this, having co-signs from Mick Jagger. And, I thought you had an interesting reaction when Mick Jagger said something like, you and Youngblood, who we love, and he's been on the show, and MGK, that you're like saving rock and roll.
Mhm.
But I thought that your response was really interesting. And you said that,
What did I say?
you said,
I don't remember.
you said something like, "No one's saving rock and roll. You just can't be killed," or something like that.
Oh yeah. I think it's very
Or
true.
rock and roll can never die.
Yeah,
Something like that.
I think people talk too much about music genres.
Right.
I think like it made sense in the 70s, in the 80s, because the genres were very like
Defined.
Yeah, very defined. And there was like the rock culture and the hip hop culture and
That's
pop culture.
true.
Now I think that everything is pop culture because with our phones
Yeah,
we
it's
can reach
all mixed.
to
Everybody.
every information about anyone in just 1 second. So everything is pop culture.
Yeah.
You cannot be niche anymore.
That's true.
So I think there's a lot of talking about like they're the last rock band. They're not really rock because they have this pop sound, and it's like, yeah, I know, I'm a pop star.
It's like, how about listen and enjoy the
Yes.
music? How does it make you feel? You like it?
It's
Cool.
like I think we're all pop stars, and we just interpret pop music in a different way. But pop doesn't mean mainstream or like cheesy stuff.
Right.
Pop
Yeah.
means
That's true.
popular.
Popular.
So whatever
Yeah.
gets popular, it's pop. So you can do
It's
the
true.
most experimental stuff, but once you get people to listen to it, I'm sorry, it's pop.
It's pop. It's
He's
true. I
right,
think
though.
everyone's
He's
just so
right.
That's
excited
so
that you all
true.
play instruments.
Yeah,
I think that's really what it is.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that it's a band. It's a legit band
Yeah.
with that everyone plays instruments really well. You write your own
That's the fact.
music.
I always say
mean,
we are a guitar live band.
right.
That's what we are.
I love that. Yeah. And I think also the songwriting is important to talk about because everyone knows you're an amazing performer, and I want to talk about that.
Mhm.
But you are a fantastic songwriter. And I'd love to talk about that. And I actually went through and looked at some of my favorite songs, and I was just looking at the songwriting credits. But it's cool because you can have a song like Torna a Casa, and you wrote that yourself. And then
Wow.
We just
I Wanted Your
watched.
Slave,
I know.
the band wrote that together as a band. And that's
Wow.
a massive song that the band wrote. And then, of course, Time Zone and Honey, and If Not For You, we brought in Max Martin, Justin Trent, amazing songwriters. But the fact that you have proven that you can do it all. You can write yourself with the band, with outside writers, with the band. That's really shows that you're adept songwriters.
I think that as an artist, my best quality is that I'm pretty adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
Like
You had to.
I'm not married to anything that I do. Like I love everything I do, but I'm not obsessed with anything that I do. And I don't think that any of the things that I did with the band, that I did on my own, defines my identity. It's just a part of my identity.
Yeah.
So
True.
songwriting for me is the best thing about my job because it allows me, first of all, to meet the most incredible people in the world. Like you mentioned, Justin, he's a fucking genius.
Incredible.
Like working with him is so inspiring. Like the vibe he has and the way he managed to be so like joyful and then switch in 1 second and get you in this like very serious and dark places, and the amount of words he knows and like the way he knows the English language is
Wow.
incredible.
Yeah.
And how much he helps me to express my thoughts, because with English, the only thing that I still struggle a bit, it's sometimes I know what I want to say, but I only know like 1 or 2 ways to say it, but there's hundreds of ways to say it. So
Wow.
what songwriters really help me to do is like to put my thoughts in a beautiful way, in English.
Yeah.
Like the songwriting, it's something that also really helps you to know yourself, know what you like, and how much you're ready to open up with people, because it's all about that, like how much of yourself you want to give to people. And there's been a time where, and you can see it, I think, from my lyrics were very, very angry because I was like hiding myself behind it. I was using my music as a shield.
Mm-hmm.
Now I completely switched, and I really want to use my music to open up with people, because I feel like
Interesting.
I'm ready to do it. I worked on myself, and now I kind of like how I'm coming out. And so,
Well, that's kind of great because, when you're younger, you tend to be a little bit more, as you mature, you
learn
don't care
more about
yourself.
your
Yeah.
personality as it develops. Yeah. And it's interesting that maybe we just haven't heard the angry ones yet, because he's talking to those who were older ones.
Yeah.
I don't recall that there's a lot of anger in most of the songs that we've heard. But again, we're
What
only
about
a couple months in.
the one that sort of like the father son, that's what the song that he's anger on that one too.
Oh yeah, they're definitely the
And Domi the Padre.
well, yeah. So that one, yeah, I don't know if that's anger or just, I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I haven't really. I don't think we've seen much
Not yet.
anger, but maybe we just haven't dived deeper enough into the
I'm
older
sure
catalog.
once we get to the older catalog and gotten deeper and deeper, I'm sure we're going to see it and see what he's describing about.
Yeah. But I agree. I very much enjoy the person that he is becoming.
And also he's so charismatic to watch, and he's just good looking. I mean, when he talks, he just beams, and you can tell he's very passionate.
Strong charisma.
Yeah.
That's required as a front man.
Yeah.
You gotta be
So
gotta be the
charismatic.
face.
Yeah.
And he's definitely
He has that
definitely
factor.
a face guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Amazing.
I'm ready to share it with people, and songwriting, it's like my favorite part, because it just allows you just get in a room with people that you never met, and the first 5 minutes it's basically just tell me all your traumas. so we don't have to go through it. We already know everything, and we can just start writing songs. And it's so beautiful because you skip all that, that the small talks
bullshit.
part. Yeah, and you get like to the deep shit immediately. And it's such a powerful thing. It's
like a first date and a therapy session at the same
yeah,
time.
it's that's what it is. And it also brings out parts of your personality that maybe in your everyday life you kind of hide or you struggle to put out.
Mm-hmm.
In that moment, it's just pure freedom. It's so beautiful. I think it's really the most magical part of my job.
That's absolutely beautiful. And you mentioned, you've been working on yourself and getting comfortable. Like how has this process been like? I mean, it's just to be through so many different phases and iterations in front of the world while you're developing and discovering yourself.
Yeah.
You're doing it in front of everyone.
Right.
How has this journey been?
Basically, I always thought that getting famous didn't affected me, but actually it did, because I closed a lot. I got like very private when I got famous and known, because I'm actually an introverted. So like when I'm on stage, I love being looked at, and I love being judged, and I love that people are there for me. But in my everyday life, I don't really like to be under the radars and all that stuff.
He's
so
private.
For a lot of years, I used to like hide everything and be like just my stage persona. And I was only putting out that because it was making me feel safer. It was something like, I decide the way you perceive me, because I give you only this. I only give you like the savage rock and roll part, which makes you feel like very strong and all this stuff. But at one point, I was like, I'm not just this. I'm so much more than it. And first of all, I have to understand it and embrace it. Like also my vulnerable part, my failures, my traumas and all this. I have to be able to embrace it and face it. And then maybe I'm going to be able to share it with people. And I think that now it's time to do it. And I think also it's beautiful to, I don't know, give the others the chance to take something from your experiences, and not being just, it's not selfish, but like when you go through a lot in your life and you learn a lot of things and you get some wisdom, something like that. I think it's beautiful to have a platform that allows you to share it with people also, because like the majority of our fans are younger than us. So if I can use my experience to help them somehow, would be like great, like a lot more than awards or stuff like that.
He wants to make a big difference, and also want to be a role model too.
These fans right here are not younger than
you're not younger than you.
So we're definitely an oddity, I think.
Yeah,
older folks that enjoy this music.
But and on top of that, they're maturing. So your perspective as you mature, it changes, and what you were, from when you're younger, you're like, there's no fear to go through, you just go with the flow. But the older you get, the more you're more observant, you're more, because, and also as he said, as you become famous, you're like in the microscope. People want to see you. And and he's totally the opposite. He's just a quiet person.
Yeah, and that resonated a little bit with me, because in my private life, I am also an introvert, but when we get in front of the camera, I don't really have a problem.
I'm the opposite.
Being on camera and saying my piece and doing what I want to do, but out away from the camera, that's not as much me.
No.
It's like I'm a different person on the microphone than I am away from it.
I'm the opposite. So I'm more of the social butterfly off the camera. I'm talkative, but in front of the camera, I'm like the quiet one. Yeah. It's just, it varies to people, People, that's why it's kind of hard to judge people, because for who they are. But, let's move on forward.
Yep.
Here we go.
It'd be the most rewarding
Yeah.
to know that the fans are resonating
Yeah.
with you and you're speaking to them. That's awesome. I was wondering that because you are such an incredible performer and
He
you
is.
don't leave anything on stage. I mean, you
Absolutely.
give yourself, you give
Yeah.
everything you have,
Yep.
emotionally, physically. You sing your heart out. You know,
They sure do.
I can only imagine, and also it's an energy exchange because you're giving
Yeah.
so much. And then when you come off the stage, sometimes it's grueling. It is grueling
Right.
to find that healthy sort of balance to
Mhm.
then. How do you sort of that the highs at the highest highs?
And the
A
lows
lot of
and lows.
performers when they're that intense, they have low lows.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's a constant struggle to sort of to find that healthy balance.
Yeah, for me, I found this method, but it came natural. Actually, I didn't have to think about it. Like it's like my stage persona. It's not me, but it's someone that I have to like wake up when I
Mhm.
get on stage. So like when I have to play a gig, I'm like I don't even think about it till 1 minute to the stage. And then we have this intro, which is like 1 minute. And in that intro, in that moment, I close my eyes, I take a deep breath, and I get into the mood that, okay, you're on stage, you're not,
Wow.
you're
He's
the
into a
talent, you're the
trance.
artist.
Yeah.
So like everyone is here for you. Like I hype myself.
He has to go to a
He
certain
becomes,
transition.
um,
Yeah.
Mindset.
becomes that
Yeah,
guy.
Yeah.
and I get in that atmosphere, I get in that mood, and
Wow.
everything feels different. Like there's no shame of anything. I feel like I'm allowed to do pretty much everything.
freedom.
Yeah,
And he
and
does.
also like
Yeah.
there's no boundaries anymore. I don't have to control or adapt to anything. It's my show, so I decide
Awesome.
the pace. I decide what happens.
That's so cool.
But when the last song finishes, like exactly in that moment when the beat drops, it's over. Like
Wow.
you got to get back as fast as you can to your normal persona, because otherwise going to having 50,000 people clapping and shouting for you, and then you go to the backstage and the backstage is dirty, it's silent because it's only you.
Right.
You're eating like leftovers because there's nothing, the catering is closed, and
Yeah.
you have to fucking run away, so you cannot wait for like deliveries to come, so you're eating rice and tuna. And there's like this huge contrast, and if you get too used, like if you normalize being on stage,
Right.
I think it gets very, very unhealthy. It's not
He's right,
normal to
though.
be on stage.
Right.
It's not normal to be on tour. It's not normal to be a celebrity. Like
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
it's not a normal lifestyle, and it doesn't have to be normalized. It's a moment. It's our
He's
job.
right.
When we're not working,
He
it's not that we're not
compartmentalizes
human,
it.
because of course it's a reflection of what we do, but we like the way you act when you're with your team and you have people working for you and you can ask everything to anyone because you're the talent. So you just need to be in the right environment
Zone.
to go on stage.
Yeah,
When
he's in the
that's
zone.
finished, you're the same as your manager, you're the same as your assistant, you're the same as your promoter. It's just people hanging out, like
Wow.
trying to have a good work day.
Just humans.
So it's like
We're all
it's
humans.
like an office. If someone has a bad vibe in an office, everyone gets it, and the office gets awful. It's just everyone has to really put effort on being nice and being easy, also like not having too many requests. I hate when I hear these stories like, oh, this artist wants like a dog puppy in the dressing room because it calms his anxiety. I'm like, just fucking go to therapy.
Right.
Like, why do you have to have your team go to get a fucking dog for
Right.
you? It's too much.
That's too much.
We're playing music. We're not saving lives. It's we like, I think where our goal is to give people 1 hour, 2 hours where they're not thinking about anything, just the music. So they could cry, get emotional, have fun, get horny.
release.
Yeah, like whatever. It's just our goal is to release those emotions, to give them
That's-
like 2 hours where
that's
they can
great.
put everything out, and then they go back home with this
Feels
relief
good.
feeling.
Yeah.
But we're not like heart surgeons.
Right.
Like, we have to chill out.
I think that's amazing that you.
Okay, I think we'll call it right there. It's a good place. She's about to start a new topic. We'll come back for part 2 and finish up this amazing interview.
Oh, I'm really enjoying this.
Already
Yeah,
learned so much.
about just him and the band too.
Yeah, I mean, we'll want to learn more about all the members of the band, but this is a fantastic interview.
And also, if there's any other interviews that you would like us to, to react, send us the link. We'll be gladly to, do some reaction as well.
Yeah. This last section particularly is very interesting because what he's saying is that he's a different person off stage than he is on stage, and that is literally something that he, in 1 minute, he becomes that person, and as soon as the music ends, he stops being that person.
Right.
And it's like
You just need to balance yourself.
it's like a costume he puts on,
Right.
just for the show, and that's very interesting. It's a very interesting way of looking at it. And the way he justifies it is, you have to be a human being the rest of the time.
Right.
And it's not normal.
It's not.
It's not normal to be on stage in front of 100,000 people or whatever.
Exactly.
Right? That's very interesting. In its own way, that is humble and, human.
Human. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just being himself. And also, remember, they are performer, and they have their normal life.
Yeah.
They always going to be for who they are, but it's just the way, you go back to your normal days. You got to be yourself, as who you are. Yeah. Well, thank you again for joining us to our part 1 of behind the journey of MONESKIN on Allison Hagendorf's show. Part 2 will be coming along, so check them out. Thank you for loving our music channel, liking our videos to get the algorithm going. Thank you for subscribing to our Small Mighty channel to help us grow to 50K. Thank you again, and see you in the next video.